Vanessa, thank you. Big news for the economy this month. Last week, the Federal Reserve announced it is raising interest rates for the second time this year. The bank is boosting its benchmark by 1/4 percentage point to a range between 1 3/4 and 2%.
And this week, the Supreme Court overturned previous rulings which said if a business has no physical presence in a state, it's not obligated to collect sales tax on online purchases. Well, now states will have the option to demand the taxes be collected.
So what does all of this mean for your wallet? Economist Marco Soriano is here to kind of break it all down for us. Welcome.
Hi, how are you? Good morning.
We're great. So let's start with interest rates. And how will this affect the average person, whether you're taking out a student loan, for example, or buying a home? How will this affect them?
So the mechanisms that you're looking at right now, the Fed fund rates, which is what we're talking about, depends on two new mechanisms that are being introduced. One is the interest on excess reserves, which is basically what big banks are getting from the Federal Reserve, and then the other one would be the actual repo programs that are in place from home loans to big banks. That impacts us, borrowers. So it's more expensive. If the Fed fund rate goes up, our borrowing cost goes up, and clearly it's not exactly what we're looking for. In the last 10 years, with the loose monetary policy, banks were able to collect on these reserves at almost 0%. Loans were really hard to be given, but all of a sudden, we have a tight policy, and they're increasing these rates a little too soon, too quickly, in my view. So it's going to be too expensive. I would suggest that they allow this to expand a bit more, let the economy breathe before we start making more tight monetary policies.
How about investments in, let's say, 401k? How does it affect those?
So in that sense, it's kind of good for anybody who's on fixed income. Right, retirees will enjoy better rates on their CDs, savings accounts. If you're a saver, then you're in a good hand. But let's be honest, we're consumers, right? Unless you're looking to just stay put and not spend any money. So there's a pros and cons, and you're looking at retirees being happy, us not so much.
I remember when CDs, you would get like 3 or 4%, and then it went down to like 0.0, almost 0.003. I'm like, oh, I don't even know if that's even worth doing anymore.
Right, and that didn't make much sense, right? Because if the Fed fund rate was low, and they would allow consumers or savers at that time to enjoy on retiring or savings accounts, it would have been a better case scenario.
Right. So let's talk about that Supreme Court ruling we mentioned in the introduction. Who are the winners and the losers when it comes to that?
State taxes is very tricky. I own, a couple of companies out there, and we're kind of trying to understand how we're going to measure these on a state-per-state basis. But I think for the small and medium business owners, it's going to be very hard to compete with, say, Walmart, Amazon, or eBay in that case. So I would look at this very carefully. Very, very carefully.
Because now these small businesses have to figure out, they have to charge the state tax, right?
Well, yeah, it's like us filing taxes, right? We have to do our personal taxes to the federal government and the state. But if you're doing business in all these different states, you're looking to do taxes every year, so you need to have accountants in every state, and if you have an issue for an audit, then you have to hire lawyers for that, so it becomes extremely expensive. I don't think they thought this through right. Although the ruling was 5-4, I think they should really revise this.
All right, very quickly, what are your economic expectations going forward?
So the expectation in the U.S. economy for 2018 are great. I think 2019 we're going to start understanding a better feeling of what's going to happen with the GDP or the unemployment rates and even the PEC, right? So we'll see how this tax reform that was implemented as well is going to be beneficial to the American consumers and whatnot, or U.S. or business owners,
All right. Thank you, Marco. We have so much to think about. Thank you. We appreciate you coming in.
All this is great advice is going to be on our website, cbsnewyork.com.
CBS 2 News Saturday morning. We'll be right back. Thank you so much.